Today's guest is Mike Fiorenza. He's a COO at Bundren. Bundren is a painting and drywall construction business. So Mike, thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely, anytime.
I mean, I could start in many different directions, but I see all those guitars in the background in the room, and I have to ask, what's the story with that hobby there?
34, 35 years playing guitar. Everybody is working from home. I really think that it's interesting because for me, I didn't think twice about this. Guitars are hanging on the wall. This is my home office / home studio. And I've been having meetings and everybody's immediately on that going, that's fantastic. And it actually, I started thinking about it. I'm on all these web calls and video calls, and you're looking at people's personal lives when they're working from home. I mean, you see their kitchen, you can see their office, you can see their backyard, what their house looks like if they're sitting outside. And I think it's given if you're in tune to it, you're actually paying attention to, what makes the people. And it's actually spawned some really good conversations. So I've been playing for years. Business, if you want a good business analogy,
Sure.
There's a lot of guitars up there and they all sound different, right? So the reason why you have different guitars is because they all sound different. But I'm really a bassist. I've been playing bass longer than I have guitar, and there's only one bass hanging up there.
Yeah.
And that's because you have to be fluid. You have to be able to make yourself sound how you need to sound, or how the melody works or the rhythm works. And it's a good business analogy because in my role, in the COO role, I'm the bassist. I'm tying the rhythm to the melody, and I've got to play that middle role there and make sure that both sides are successful. So it's literally what I am, what I do.
You started off as a project manager and you kind of shot up to COO. What was that path like?
I've owned my own business in the past, so I understand the challenges of owning a business. Even as a project manager, running projects, treating the business like it's your own is a different mindset than somebody that's just coming in and doing the job. So I want to see people succeed. I want to see the business succeed. I want to see the business get to the next level. And I'm not going to make decisions that are going to impact it. Because it would, if I approach it as while it's not my name on the business, I am responsible for the outcome of the business. So if I'm treating it like it's my own, I'm going to pay more attention to it. I'm going to have more attachment to it, if you would.
Yeah. So is that something you try to teach or hire against?
That's a really good question. I've been attempting to hire a few positions that, yes, we want them to think like owners. We want them to be an integral part of that team that is making decisions to move the ball, to make the advancement. I'm looking for driven people. If you don't have that drive and you don't have that internal, almost conviction, you're not going to succeed on a team like ours. We're pushing hard. We're driving hard, and we're making a lot of changes.
I know you have a construction background, but you also have a culinary background. Tell me about that.
I do. My first degree was Culinary Institute of America, and I went to school in Hyde Park, New York. I'm from the Northeast, actually, so moved down to Texas in 2009. Work related, and then in the Northeast, working in residential and light commercial. If you didn't have a big job going on through the winter, you basically didn't have a lot of work going on because it's kind of hard to frame or to drywall when it's cold outside. So I always reverted back to working in the kitchens, and parents with degrees and saying, "Hey, you need to get a degree." I said, "Well, I do construction and I cook, so we'll do cooking, right?" So we went to cooking school, Um, Over the last 20 years, what I've learned is everything that's applicable in managing a kitchen is
Mm,
applicable in managing almost any business, right? So kind of like the guitar analogy and the bass analogy. uh, if you're managing a kitchen,
hmm
you have raw material and you've got to source that raw material and you've got to store that raw material and it has a life cycle. You've got to worry about spoilage or theft. You've got to worry about cost control and budgeting. So everything that you're doing to manage a carrot is the same thing as you're managing a 2x4 in construction, right? So it all of this business management, it cross populates between industries. That's why another one of my things is when I'm looking for talent and when I'm trying to hire, I'm not so locked on the fact that I'm trying to hire this for this specific role because I've had enough experience in the past that these three qualities, this can be trained, but these three qualities can't be trained. And if you have them, maybe you're even better in this role because you can pick up this real quick.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, what's your signature dish?
I don't have one. I don't have one.
I'm a horrible cook, so I'm always impressed with people that can cook. But what do people appreciate most, or what do you get the most requests on?
I actually cook Thanksgiving every year, and,
Yeah.
and I'll cook Christmas. I really I'll just barbecue, grill, or smoke nowadays. To be entirely honest, my wife is a better cook than me. So and she's not formally trained. So
Talent.
absolutely.
Your day-to-day CEO. I mean, what what
Mhm.
what sort of projects, what sort of things that you deal with on a day-to-day basis?
Um, I deal with a lot of people issues day to day. Obviously, we are coaching and guiding and directing um, a field of craft workers. And while we have project management and intermediary management in place to delegate and to deal with tasks, I focus more on, are we in budget? Are we running on schedule? Are we building our people? Are we training people? If it's conflict management, okay, why did that happen? Let's get into it. And also, I spend more time coordinating and coaching department heads in my day to day. So I have a controller, a chief estimator, project managers, and then the HR. And I spend more time with them individually, dealing with their overalls and giving guidance than actually completing any type of task.
Yeah.
I learned that I can only schedule 3 or 4 primary things a day that I have to get done because the rest of it's curveballs coming in all the time. So
You got to leave room for the curveballs, I guess.
absolutely.
For coaching, is it a formalized schedule, an open door policy? How do you sort of manage your load there?
I absolutely have open door. I mean, anybody needs to come talk to me, come talk to me. I do schedule weekly one-on-one 15 minutes. I actually block half an hour in the calendar,
hmm
but I schedule weekly 15-minute one-on-ones with my direct reports. It's their time to go over items that are that are concerning them. It's their time to complain, vent, give us a new idea, say, "Hey, we're doing this wrong. I want to try it this way." Um, we give them a lot of leeway because we're hiring them to do the job. If I'm not there to do their job, I'm there to make sure they're successful in their job, and part of that is letting them do their job and knowing when to back off and just let it happen. But they need their time, not in a team environment, to be able to go over items and say, I don't like this, or I'm having a problem with this. Um, I'm big on personal development, so that's part of it as well. I actually learned this from another podcast. I adopted a stoplight, traffic light mentality of the meetings. So it's like red light, yellow light, green light. So this is what we need to stop doing. This is what we need to think about. And this is what we need to continue or build on. And it's a quick 5-minute thing. And it
Nice.
sets the tone for the rest of that meeting, and then it's fantastic. But we've made some really good progress. We've hired some really good people though as well.
Yeah. So give me a rundown on how that would look. Give me an example.
give you an example as in
Yeah, like green light, yellow light. Like
scenario.
is the you have your one-on-one, and
Mhm.
you're talking about the green light, yellow light, red light. How's that work? Is that coming from you? Is that like a back and forth?
It's a back and forth. It's a back
Okay.
and forth, but it is all. It's more directed from me, if that
Hmm.
would be. So let's talk about training. So we're
Yep.
talking about a training scenario here where I'm trying to figure out why we haven't moved enough people or haven't gotten enough sign-offs in the field over the last quarter.
Yep.
And I'm asking questions of why is that happening? Okay, well, we're that brings out the facts that hey, we neglected to do a few things, or we got too heavy on a couple other things. Okay, well, I want you to stop doing all these things, but I want to go in here and I want to think about these, and then see what happens. These were successful. Let's go with them and let's build on them. So it's more about an asking a question and helping guide into that position. It's amazing how many people just it's funny, you read it in all the business books, but it's true. You I don't need to tell somebody to go from A to B. If with a couple questions they can figure out they need to go from A to B.
What sort of information or dashboarding do you use in your organization to sort of keep people sort of aware of what's happening?
So we have a weekly meeting, a weekly management team meeting, executive team meeting, and I have a weekly executive meeting. So it kind of flows downhill.
Yeah.
So the owner of the company, Craig Bundren, he and I meet once a week. We meet at intermediate intervals throughout the week as well, but primarily once a week. We sit down and just close the door, and it's an hour. And then we go over issues of his concerns, issues of my concerns, where I need to be working on, and then I funnel that down and start adjusting and directing team members. We have scorecards for our individual roles. I work more of a hybrid system, if you would. Not
Mhm.
it's not a scaling up system, and it's not an EOS system,
Yeah.
and it's not KPI. It's hey, here's the company's annual goals. This
Yeah.
is where we're going to be 3 to 5 years from now. This is what we've got to crush in 2020.
Yeah.
Now I want my department heads to tell me what they need to do every quarter to achieve that annual goal. And then they're going to take that objective and move forward down and send it down into their scorecards so that their direct reports are actually accomplishing those tasks, and then they track it. We're actually in the middle of a migration. We're moving away from physical hardware and getting into more cloud, and we're implementing Teams as well as Microsoft Dynamics 365. And I will be utilizing Planner in that so that I have scorecards in there for my department heads, and all of that's visible in a dashboard. It'll also be tracked in Teams so my entire organization can see it. We've got a consultant working on that in the background. We're hoping to be up and running in about 2.5, 3 weeks.
Within the systems that you implement, is there anything unique that stands out that you do or your organization does that you don't see very often everywhere else?
I want to say we're this is tricky because we're in the middle of a rebrand, and we haven't unveiled anything yet.
Yeah, yeah,
So we're entirely rebranded. We've been in business since '84.
yeah,
Technically, Craig is third generation if you really want to get down to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And we've been doing new construction and remodeling and repainting markets for years. But there are segments within those markets that we are actively going out and targeting. That required hiring an outside sales guy, and making a couple key moves to get it going. But we're going to be running a parallel business model that's launching over the next quarter. So I can't give too much away, but
Of
it's
course.
got it's got a couple big items in it that nobody else is doing. We've teamed up with a marketing company, and we're really going to push the needle on this one.
No, it's really good. You talk about branding. Not every company in the construction sort of sector focuses on that as much. What is your understanding of building a great brand?
You have to, in order to build a brand, you have to have something there, right? So one of our we're in commercial construction, and commercial construction goes from small two guys in a truck to huge multi-million-dollar organizations, $1 billion even if you want to get into it. It covers a wide spectrum. Our brand is us, right? So we compete in a very narrow area of that spectrum. If our guys are showing up and doing the right thing all the time, and we're consistently putting out a quality product, and we're part of the community, I think those are the three pillars that you need to build a brand on. It doesn't matter if it's construction or something else. I mean, if you don't have those three, you're not doing much. A lot of it is media and marketing. A lot of it is the way things look, and there's a lot of science to all of this that goes on in the background that I honestly don't understand most of it. And that's what the marketing pros are for. They isolate it. They tell you what you need to tweak, what's good, what's not, and then you go get it. It's a message. It really, it's our message. It's conveying what we do every day. It's conveying the value that we give to our clients. It's conveying the fact that we are adding color and we're adding beauty to an environment that wasn't there before, or we're bringing a vision to life. So, be it an architectural or an artist's vision to life, we're the ones that are taking a blank canvas and creating that. So our branding is a quick little summary of us, of what we do every day. And it there's a long way around that, but when you really get down to it, I mean, it's we paint stuff and make it beautiful, right? We add the color where there was no color. We one of the things we like to say is, we're the artists that bring large scale architectural media to life. Buildings are continually getting more advanced, more architecturally driven, more abstract. They're using brighter colors. They're using more open space. It's an evolving industry.
You guys are a certain size, established. So is there a certain sort of project size, or like how do you guys sort of segment, or do you guys segment?
Where's our sweet spot?
Where's your sweet spot? That's a good one. Yeah.
We do a lot of it. We cover a big gamut. We'll go paint for good clients that are long term. We'll show up and paint one door, or we'll come up and do one patch, or we'll send somebody out to do it. That's not a business model that we can sustain long term doing for everybody, because as you get bigger, obviously your overhead is higher, and you have more built-in costs into the burden. But for a client that we've had for years, we'll show up and we'll do anything they ask, basically. We compete in, I want to say, the medical space, the K through 12 space, the luxury mid and high rise space, office high rise space and mid rise, any medical MOBs. We work with a lot of property management companies. We do a lot of specialty products for property management companies. When you're we deal with new construction differently than we deal with remodels. New construction, and as you know, it's all specification driven. It's value driven, and you go. The remodels is you're solving a problem.
Yeah.
So you're either refreshing an area, or you're there to solve a problem. We like to pride ourselves on being very good at access, and very good at really drilling down and solving your problem. There's those. If you can chase symptoms around all day, but if you're not identifying what the real problem is, you're not gonna be successful. We've had jobs where we've walked in and proposed access savings that clients didn't know were available, and you can save them $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 on access alone before you even get into the product side.
Yeah.
So we're our niche market in new construction is basically we'll run anything from 10, 15,000 up to 2 million. In the remodel space, we look and we target more of a 1 to 6 month window. We're looking at right now. We're trying to make sure that we have consistent work in the remodel area from 1 to 6 months. Because the long-term new construction, we're paint, right? So you've got to build the building first, and that could be next year by the time we get the paint in. So we're creating a backlog over time with new construction, and we're utilizing the remodel markets to fill in.
Yeah. I always wonder how companies approach keeping their business within a sweet spot for most of the time, and how they deal with deviations, or how loose they are with those deviations. Is that a formal process for you guys, or is it kind of an ongoing sort of review type of common sense kind of process?
It's an ongoing review. It's also a constant challenge. It's always a challenge. We sat with a vendor actually yesterday, and they were talking about getting us to travel again. We just finished up jobs down in South Texas. We're in Houston. We're based in Houston.
Yeah.
We just finished up jobs down in South Texas, out in El Paso, out in Pecos. And when you get spread out like that, your management style has to change. You've got to adapt. You've got to send resources out. You've got to be constantly fluid. And we sat with the vendor yesterday, and they were talking about travel, and Craig and I kind of looked at each other. We're like, yeah, no. there's enough work in Houston. We don't need to go chasing all over the country, right? But put us on the list. You never know. There might be one that shows up in Houston or the surrounding area, and we'll go after it. We like the hard projects. We like the ones that people, we like the difficult ones, the namesake ones.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you like the namesake ones for, I guess, the exposure, or just they're difficult, or what do you like this?
A little bit of both. We like the exposure. We like going out and doing intricate jobs. We've got phenomenal craftsmen that work with us. I mean, we've had craftsmen in this company for 18 to 20 years. They're some of the best out there. When you get to put them on a project that they've never done before, they get excited, right? And you're hyping it up. Here comes your media and marketing. This project's being hyped up, and what's going on. And you've got crew out there that now all of a sudden your crew's excited. It's a new product, it's a new challenge, and everything, and then it's go time.
Yeah.
So we like that. We like that speed. We like that feeling. We like to be able to challenge ourselves to continually get better at everything we do.
That makes sense. That helps with retention. The people on the projects tell everyone. Photos start leaking out every direction.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We've had a couple where we're like, "Wow, we didn't know that was out there." Yeah.
What do you guys think of social media? Do you guys do it?
We haven't. Part of our new marketing push and part of the new marketing plan. Yeah. Social media is being very, very targeted. We haven't gone after it, and we don't have anybody dedicated doing it right now. Like Craig would go walk a job site, and then he would post some photos on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, and then I'd walk a job site and take some photos, and I'd post them. Project managers would take some pictures and send them to us, and we'd post them. Our superintendent and our foreman would do the same. And it was very, very relaxed, very non-pressured. And what we've learned over the last, I want to say 2 years, is our media presence needed a serious kick in the rear end to get moving. And hiring a marketing firm absolutely did that. So as stuff is rolling out, you can find us all over the place on Instagram and Facebook and with LinkedIn now. It's already starting to populate, and now we have dedicated people doing that. It's hard for myself to do that, or for Craig to do that, because we're so involved with everything else. It's not what's
one
on
more
your
thing.
mind.
It's one
Exactly.
more. It's one more thing, and if you don't do it naturally, then it's a struggle. I heard you're an avid reader. What are you
Mhm.
reading right now?
I'm actually reading Who by Joff Smart again.
Oh yeah,
Um, and
that's on the HR side for those that don't know, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm going through a couple other books, but I've been on an audiobook kick. So let me tell you what I've got because I'm in the middle of three of them. So
That's
can't
awesome.
I can't stay with just the one, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I'm just starting The Ride of a Lifetime
Okay.
by Bob Iger. Just finished off uh, the greatest business. It's a Vern Hannish, greatest business decisions of all time,
Sure.
and going back through and looking at how to be a great leader. Gino Winkman.
Yeah. Wickman, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wickman. You're reading Who again? How many times you read it?
This will be my second time.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
What compelled you to pick it up again? I know it's a classic.
I actually was just at an event. I was just at a COO Alliance event with Joff Smart. He showed up and he put on an hour presentation. I got to spend a couple minutes asking questions, back and forth, and learned a bunch. And one of the things that popped out in my head was, over time, it's become more complicated than it needs to be. So I need to go back and simplify. So now I'm back to the book. And I'm getting into it and getting into the hiring and oversimplifying and getting rid of all these processes that built up. And I'm going through my analysis phase right now and looking at the scorecards again and saying, wow, this is so much, it's too much. We got to simplify it down. So he said something. He said something in Genius that I've heard before, but it didn't stick.
Sure.
Right? Now it's stuck. It's what do we have to do now that's hard, right? Is what you're trying to accomplish. What do we have to do now that's hard? So you don't want to make it too easy, and you don't want to send everything softball. You really want an objective that you're going to hit. I mean, if you're going to set that goal and objective, it shouldn't be a softball.
Mm-hmm.
You want some softballs in there, but your primary goal and objective should be simple to explain, understandable, and hard to hit. So it spawned. I need to go back and read that book again.
What are some of the most impactful books you've ever read?
I've ever read.
Yeah. What stands out? I can visualize it.
The only book that I have actually pulled over, the only audio book that I have actually pulled over to take notes with, Never Split the Difference from Chris Voss.
Chris Voss.
On negotiating.
Yes.
I've actually pulled over a couple times while listening to that book and actually said, no, I'll write this down. And then I started, obviously I signed up and I started receiving all of his emails through the Black Swan group.
Yeah.
He did a podcast with Joe Polish in the Genius Network.
Yeah.
That is a phenomenal listen. If you, or you can even find it on YouTube. It is phenomenal. If I had to suggest one, that's one I would suggest.
I'm a big Joe Polish fan, and I've just recently been more exposed to Chris Voss's stuff. It sounds great, like what he's talking about.
Oh yeah, keep at it. We're in some pretty unsettling times right now. We've got a lot of employees that are really worried about a lot of things. First and foremost, keep your family and everybody around you safe. Keep them healthy and make the right decisions. You've got to make a decision. You got to make the decisions that are right for the business, but the business is made up of people. So make the right decisions about the people, and the business will take care of itself. Everybody's got a lot of hard challenges right now. There's a lot of people hurting. So if you have the opportunity to help out, help out.